Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today where we'll be talking about the Bachelor of Business here at UTS Business School. My name's Rachel and joining me is Dr. Anurag Hingorani, who is the Bachelor of Business Director, Jasmine, who is studying the combined Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Creative Intelligence and Innovation, and Patricia, who is studying the Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Laws. One of the questions we get asked all the time is, what's the difference between business and commerce? Is commerce more finance-centered? Is there an actual difference?
Hi, Rachel. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. Rachel, that's a very good question, especially since I think we are the only one in the Sydney area that refer to the course as Bachelor of Business rather than Bachelor of Commerce. Really, there is no difference. The content is the same. I would say that the Bachelor of Commerce as a name is somewhat narrow in scope because you don't own a commerce, you own a business. So that's probably why we've retained the name, that when you're talking about activities related to the buying and selling of goods, which is commerce, there are other activities associated with that. One of those activities is managing people, human resource management, which the term commerce doesn't necessarily capture. So essentially, both Bachelor of Business and Bachelor of Commerce are the same degrees. We've just retained the name business because you own a business, you don't own a commerce.
So how do students decide which course to choose?
So the content of the various degrees is essentially the same, they're similar. I think it comes down to a variety of factors. It might be a lot of individual factors. So for example, we would say location is important to some people, some students. Also, we are located where business occurs, so that might be a consideration. For me, I would say when I was a student, a lot of times I made my decisions based on what my friends did. So it is likely that you might be making decisions such as where to go for your Bachelor of Commerce or Bachelor of Business based on where your friends are going. And if I may say so, we get the most number of first preference applications. So what that means is many students are applying to UTS for the Bachelor of Business course. So chances are that many of your friends are planning to join us. So that might be something to consider as well. Also, reputation. I know many of the universities have a variety of accreditations, but we are also proud of our accreditations and recognition that we have received from a variety of professional bodies. For example, the Australian Human Resource Institute, the Australian Marketing Institute. So our reputation is, of course, important. And at the end of the day, I think once you've done your research, you'll have a clearer idea of what you want to do and where you want to study as well. So there's a variety of factors. I know it's very individual, but these are some of the things that come to mind.
Patricia, what were you looking for in a business degree when it came time for you to choose your UAC preferences?
Thanks, Rach. So I guess back in high school, the thing that really drew me to UTS and the business course here was flexibility. I think the really good thing about the Bachelor of Business is that in your first year, you have this whole year to kind of experience the different, I guess, subjects which are on offer at the Bachelor of Business. And that kind of leads into, what majors you could potentially choose to do in your last 2 years. And I think that was a really good, I guess, distinguishing factor from other universities because you really had that first year, the entire year to kind of try out things and really consider your options before making, I guess, a commitment to, either a finance, accounting, marketing, or whatever major you decided to do in, your second and third year. So that was a really, I guess, good selling factor for me when I was considering what course to choose.
Now, Anurag, you mentioned that a Bachelor of Business isn't more or less finance-centered than a Bachelor of Commerce. But we, in fact, span every field of business within the Bachelor of Business, don't we?
Yes, that's correct, Rachel. We do cover every aspect of business, accounting, economics, finance, management, marketing, all of them. And in fact, if students are interested, you can drill down further and specialize in areas such as human resource management, international business, advertising as well. So yes, we do cover every aspect of business.
Anurag, so both you and Patricia have mentioned that you don't need to choose your major straight away. Can you talk us through how the course works?
Sure, Rachel. So the first year, students complete a set of 8 subjects. They are core subjects. Every student has to do it. So if you are thinking of majoring in accounting, you don't have to make that decision. You do not make that decision, in fact, in the first year. So if you are thinking of majoring in marketing in the first year, you'll have to, in accounting, sorry, you'll have to do marketing, you'll have to do economics, you'll have to do finance. So in the first year, all students do the same set of 8 subjects. Those subjects include accounting, economics, finance, marketing, management, integrating business perspectives, which is a subject that is unique to us, where you learn how the different discipline groups, such as accounting, economics, finance, management, marketing, are interrelated. Do not have to make a decision in the first year at all, okay? It's only in the second year that you start making a decision about a major that you need to complete or embark on. So in the first year, the decision is made for you. You do not have to make any decisions. You've got to do a set of 8 subjects. And then towards the end of the first year, you've got to start thinking about the kind of major or area you want to specialize in. And then because it's a 3-year full-time course, we have a variety of different options for you in terms of how you can structure the Bachelor of Business course.
Patricia, what are you majoring in? And did you know that's what you wanted to major in? How did you make that decision?
I'm currently majoring in finance. And I guess to answer your question, I didn't really know that I wanted to major in finance in my first year. I think when I started off my degree, I was thinking maybe I'd be majoring in accounting or even something like marketing or HR. And I didn't do, I guess, the first year finance subject until my second semester. So I didn't really know anything about, I guess, like the major itself. But I think after, experiencing all the different subjects that I did in my first year and doing the finance subject, I was really drawn to it. It was like the subject that interested me most. And I think that that was kind of the reason, obviously, why I chose to major in finance as opposed to the other disciplines like accounting or marketing. So I didn't really know, I guess, in the beginning, but I think after actually going through all the different subjects and doing finance itself, it really helped me make my decision.
What are some of the ways that students can tailor their degree to their interests?
So there are 5 different ways in which students can structure their course. So the first year, everyone does the same set of core subjects. Then in the second year, everyone embarks on a major. But then you might decide to either do a second major, that is one of the options that are available. So for example, you might have marketing as your first major, and then some of you might decide to do finance as a second major. So that is the structure you have opted for, doing 2 majors. So for example, a marketing student who's also doing a finance major, when they graduate, might decide to marry the 2 together and work in a marketing role for a bank, for example. Or they might decide they just want to focus on the marketing side of things or the finance side of things. So they're applying only for marketing jobs or finance jobs. So interestingly enough, having told you this, not all students opt for this structure where you can do 2 majors. Another option that students can consider is that they don't do 2 majors, but they do a major and 2 sub-majors. The sub-majors are basically what we call minors. These are half majors. So for example, again, using, say, a marketing student might do a marketing major, a finance sub-major, and perhaps a management sub-major. So they're getting a taste for finance and management by doing sub-majors, but they're not doing a full-blown finance major. Now, what might happen is that, let's say someone has started the first structure that I talked about, where you can do 2 majors, a marketing major and a finance major. let's say someone has started the finance major and then decides that, no, that's not for them. So depending on the subjects they have completed in that finance major, they can convert that into a sub-major. Of course, these are details that we will tell you once you join us, but this is just to give you an idea in terms of how flexible the Bachelor of Business is. Another option is where everyone does the first year core, of course. You start on a major, and instead of doing a second major or 2 sub-majors, you decide you want to do a sub-major and 4 free electives. Now, again, using the example I've started with marketing as a major, you might have marketing as a major, finance as a sub-major, and then the 4 electives could be from anywhere in business school. And when I say free electives, they're not free, they're unspecified electives, which means you can choose, I don't know if you're interested in visual design, if that's a course that's available. If we had horse riding as an elective, perhaps you could even do that. That's what we mean by free elective. It's not necessarily connected to the Bachelor of Business only. So that's another option. Now, this structure where students are doing a major, a sub-major, and 4 electives is an option taken by some students who want to study abroad, go on exchange. So that's another consideration. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we will soon be able to travel, and that will be an option that you would be able to consider or take up. Then we have 2 more options. Bear with me. Another option is where students might decide they're really interested in marketing and they don't want to just do a major. So this option is called an extended major. So an extended major is 12 subjects, a major is 8 subjects. So if students decide on an extended major, then they cannot do a second major. The structure doesn't allow you to do that. But one option is that if you do an extended major, then you could do a sub-major or a minor with it. So you might do an extended major in marketing, and you could do a sub-major in finance, for example. And the last option is also one with an extended major, where you do an extended major, but instead of a sub-major, you do the 4 free electives. So in summary, I know this is a lot of information. This is information that's available on the website, and you don't have to make any of these decisions in the first year. But to summarize, there are 5 different options. So you can do 2 majors, you can do a major and 2 sub-majors, you can do a major, a sub-major, and electives. You could do an extended major with sub-majors, and you can do an extended major with electives.
Jasmine, how did you choose to structure the business component of your degree?
As Anurag talked about, you can choose to do 2 full majors, which is actually what I started in. So I picked, to go with the example, a marketing major and an economics major. And I was intending to complete those 2 full majors. But what happened was I started my economics major and I decided that I liked it, but I also wanted to try the sub-major called management consulting. So I opted into the management consulting sub-major, and I converted my economics major into a sub-major after the first year. So in my first year, I did marketing and economics subjects, and now I'm in my 3rd year, I'm doing marketing and management consulting subjects to finish off my degree. So in the end, I ended up with a marketing full major and a sub-major in economics and management consulting.
Anurag, is there a requirement to have done a particular level of maths to be able to successfully complete the Bachelor of Business?
Well, the short answer is maths is not a prerequisite for the Bachelor of Business. However, there is some assumed knowledge. What I tell students is, do you know what is a mean, median, mode? If you know that, that's the level of maths you would need to know. But interestingly enough, Even if you don't know what is a mean, median, and mode, for example, you will be taking a course in business statistics in the first year, and you will learn about a mean, median, and mode again. Although maths is not a prerequisite and there is assumed knowledge of maths, if you need support, we have support available to you in the form of bridging courses, which are free to business students. So you have bridging courses in algebra, in calculus, as well as there is something called UPass, which stands for Peer Assisted Study Sessions. And that is something you will explore once you join us. But there is support available to you. And again, the short answer is maths is not a prerequisite.
It's a really interesting point that we make. I personally did 3-unit maths when I was in high school, and I ended up going into the business statistics subject that we spoke about. And I found that sometimes I'd be sitting next to someone who'd only done general maths at school and a completely different syllabus. And they, in fact, knew a little bit more about this mean, median, mode type maths than I did, because I hadn't done it since maybe year 10. And so for me, I found that there was a mix of stuff that I had to reteach myself, and there was also stuff in there that I knew already. And I guess among the class, there was a difference in knowledge, but basically the teachers will take you through it from the beginning to the end. So if there's something that you need to be retaught, you will get to pick it up during the course. And also there are those peer assisted study sessions you can go to. And that's exactly what I did for the business statistics subject. I was someone who did quite enjoy maths in school. And so I did do 3 units of it, but I still got to university and I wanted to make sure that I really understood all of the elements of the course. And so I made sure that I understood that all before I went into the final exam. And I ended up doing well. A lot of the students in my class as well did well with me.
So as we can see on the slide, there are so many options that you can combine the Bachelor of Business with. Laws, engineering, science, IT, but depending on the course you want to do, there are implications for the structure of your degree. Now, Jasmine, you're doing business and creative intelligence and innovation. Can you talk us through how your degree is structured?
Sure. So for the first 3 years, I'm pretty much a standard business student throughout the semester. So in autumn and spring sessions, I go and I just do 4 business subjects in both of those semesters. But what happens for me is, in order to get some of my creative intelligence and innovation, we nickname it BCII, the degree. So in order to get my BCII subjects done, we do 2 schools in the summer and winter. They're basically 2-week intensives to get 1 subject done. So for example, on Monday, I'm going to start one of my intensive schools. So we go Monday to Friday, every day in the week, usually around 9 to 5, we'll do our learning, and there's some assessments in that. And so after the 2 weeks, we have 1 whole subject done. So for the first 3 years, I do a normal business semester and a short intensive. I do another normal business semester and then another short intensive, which gets me through a whole year of that double degree. And then by the end of the first 3 years of my degree, I've done 6 BCII subjects and I've finished my business degree. And the 4th year in my double is completely composed of BCII subjects and some industry work within that. So next year, when I move into my 4th year, I will not have any business subjects left. I'll completely finish my business degree. I will just have BCII subjects left. And so that is a bit of a different course to many of the other doubles, but that's how we fit in all of our subjects for both degrees into the 1 4-year block.
Now, Patricia, you're doing business and laws, and that's quite different in terms of how the degree is structured, in terms of duration, number of majors you can do. Can you talk us through how your combined degree is structured?
Yeah, so our structure is, I guess, a bit different to something like the Bachelor of Business and BCII. With the Bachelor of Business, with the Bachelor of Laws, it's a 5-year double degree. And what's a bit different is that we only get 1 major as part of the Bachelor of Business component. So for me, I'm only majoring in finance, as opposed to having, say, major in finance and 2 sub-majors. I don't get that, I guess, extra, amount of subjects to choose any sub-majors or electives as part of my Bachelor of Business. And in terms of the Bachelor of Laws, I guess, side of things, there's really no compromise there. It's still a full Bachelor of Laws degree that you would get if you were studying it as a single degree as well. And yeah, I guess in terms of structure, it is a bit different. We don't have any I guess, intensive courses. Everything's done in the autumn and spring semesters, but there is an optional, summer semester, which is, I guess, available to all other students in other degrees as well.
What exactly does professional accreditation mean, and what are the benefits for our students?
Yes, Rachel. I talked about professional accreditation earlier on when I was talking about reputation. Essentially, accreditation is a form of recognition or endorsement by several local professional associations and bodies, such as the Australian Human Resource Institute, Australian Marketing Institute, for example. And we have received those endorsements, if you will, because these associations have found the Bachelor of Course to be relevant for the professions. We are delivering relevant education for the professions. Now, sometimes it's the whole course. Sometimes it might be a subject. Sometimes it could be a major that has received accreditation or endorsement. So the benefit for students would be that when they are looking for employment, employers know that they have come from a university and they've done a course which has been recognized by the professional bodies and associations. I know many of you are just thinking about your undergraduate education, but maybe in the future you might want to do master's level study, maybe at an international university. Of course, we'd like you to do it with us, but if you're considering postgraduate study at another university, the fact that you've done your studies, your undergraduate, your Bachelor of Business with us will hold you in good stead, because they would know that the local professional bodies have recognized our course. I should also mention that we currently also have the recognition of our courses by AACSB, which is the Association to Advance Collegiate Schools of Business. That is a global body which endorses courses. So coming back to my point about wanting to do a master's course down the track, maybe you're doing it in some country that hasn't heard of UTS or the UTS Business School, they would definitely have heard of AACSB. So that will hold you in good stead as well. So in short, the fact that we have received these professional accreditations means that we're delivering relevant education that is relevant to the profession.
What opportunities are available for students to engage with industry?
So firstly, we are located close to the Central Business District in Sydney, but also the fact that we have lecturers and tutors who work with industry partners. Many of our tutors are actually working in industry. So they're bringing their industry knowledge also into the classroom, and students can interact with them in that sense as well. We also have courses that are developed via consultation with industry, and that is also true for the Bachelor of Business. Students also have the opportunity to do electives, depending on what structure they've chosen or what major they've chosen. Students could also do an internship subject. And in that sense, you're also connected to industry. So these are some of the ways in which we are connected with industry.
And just before we finish up, what would be everyone's top tip for a student that's considering studying the Bachelor of Business at UTS?
The top tip from me would be to do some research. So you might want to research what are some of the subjects or majors available in the Bachelor of Business. Now, I've told you before, you don't have to make a decision about a major in the first year. However, you will have to consider an area of specialization down the track. So go to our website, take a look at what's on offer, and you will find a list of majors. And within each major, you'll find a list of subjects. And within each subject, you'll find a description of that subject. Hopefully, once you've looked at those majors, you will get a clearer answer to the question, why am I interested in a Bachelor of Business? Now, I've talked about researching the majors by going to our website. You might also want to research what what jobs exist by going to different job sites. And it's not about just looking at the titles, but looking at how those jobs have been described. And if you find those job descriptions appealing, then you will have greater clarity and be able to answer the question, why am I, meaning you, the student, why am I interested in a Bachelor of Business?
I think for me, if you're in a position where you're looking at a whole bunch of different universities, you're probably looking out there at a whole bunch of different degrees even, and you're not sure what to pick, my advice would definitely be similar to Anurag, definitely go and do your research, read into it as much as you can. And I know it can be overwhelming, but my advice and what worked for me was just to pick one that you think you'll like and go for it. Give it a try. A lot of universities, and UTS especially, are very flexible with changing your options even after you start a degree. Particularly the Bachelor of Business, it's a great one if you're not really sure what you want to do, as opposed to something like nursing. You don't graduate as a nurse. From a business degree, you can graduate and go into a whole number of fields. I think it's a great flexible option, and it gives you opportunities in different areas when you graduate. So I think if you're someone who's not really sure, and that's exactly where I was in your position, just think about what are the things you like now and how can that translate into a degree. And I would just recommend just pick something you think you'll like, start it, see how you go, and there's always the option to change.
I guess my advice to someone who maybe has their heart set on the Bachelor of Business at UTS specifically would be, I guess, to do some research on pathways. I know that was something that I was really stressed out about, in year 12, thinking about whether or not I could actually, get into the course that I wanted to do. And for someone who really wants to do the Bachelor of Business at UTS specifically, I know there are a bunch of different pathways, aside from just the typical ATAR, get into uni, pathway. There are a lot of different ways to actually get to UTS and study the Bachelor of Business. And I think doing your research, while you're at in year 12 really help, relieve that, I guess, stress when it's coming to, final exams and ATAR time, just knowing that there are a lot of options to kind of get to where you want to be. So I definitely recommend having a look at different pathways, whether it be, studying something else at UTS and trying to transfer your way in, or going to TAFE and seeing if you could get your subjects credited that way. There are definitely a lot of options to ultimately end up at UTS and study business.
This is just some information which I found useful when I was a student many years ago. If you're not sure of presenting, or you're not comfortable with presenting, note that doing a public speaking course would be useful, or just practicing in front of a camera, for example, would be useful. So bear in mind that there will be times when you have to present, even if you're an accounting student, for example. So use some time getting used to the idea of talking in front of a camera. Now, I can tell personally, I'm more comfortable talking face-to-face. So I'm also getting used to the idea of looking at myself in front of a camera and making these wild gestures and trying to rein myself in. But I'm the teacher, so it's not an issue for me. But I would just suggest that try and get some practice. If you're shy, you're introverted, and you're not comfortable talking, you might want to perhaps see how you present or what you're presenting in front of a group of friends if you can't do a public speaking course. Thank you everyone for attending this webinar on the Bachelor of Business. We hope to see some of you, maybe all of you, in the Bachelor of Business next year. And as always, make sure you do your research. And if you have any questions, also direct them to the right people. Thank you very much for attending this webinar.
Thanks, Anurag. And thank you so much, Jasmine and Patricia, as well, for sharing your insights. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Please feel free to explore our other videos detailing our courses and majors. If you have any questions, as Anurag said, you can reach out to us. You can see our social media channels here, or you can contact us directly by phone on 9514 3074 or email business@uts.edu.au. Thank you.